I'll share my screen. Let's see here. Pretty ecstatic verse. Okay. Yes, yasya amrita amala yashaha shravana avagaha sadyah punati jagat आश्वपचात् वैकुण्ठः सह अहं sorry, again, we're getting that thing here. One second. Okay, all right, sorry, we're playing another thing. So, भवद्भ्यः उपलब्ध सुतीर्थ कीर्तिः चिन्दयां स्वभावम् अपि वः प्रतिकूलवृत्तिम् okay. यस्यामृतामलयस्य श्रवणावगायः सद्य पुनाति जगद आश्वत्पश्चाद् वैकुण्ठः सोऽहं भवद्भ्य उपलब्ध सुतीर्थकीर्तिस् चिन्ध्यां स्वबाहुम् अपिव प्रतिकूलवृत्तिम् Please repeat.
Yasyamritamalaya shravanavagaha Sadya punati jagad ashvapachad vikuntaha Soham vavadbhya upalabdha sutirtha kirtish Tindyam swabahum apiva pratikula vrittim Yasyamritamalaya shravanavagaha Sadya punati jagad ashvapachad vikuntaha Soham bhavadbhya upalabdha sutirtha kirtish Chindyam swabahum apiva pratikula vrittim
Yes. Okay. Oh, not able to see here. Sorry. Okay. Yasyamrita yasya shravanavagaha Sadya punati jagad avasapachat vaikuntah Soham bhavadya upalabdha sutirthakirtish Chindayam sabhahum api pratikula vrittim. I forget that my screen is shared most of the time. Okay. Yasya. Of whom? Amrita. Nectar. Amala. Uncontaminated. Yashaha. Glories. Shravana. Hearing. Avagaha. Entering into. Sadyaha. Immediately. Punati. Purifies. Jagat. The universe. Ashvapachat. including even the dog eaters.
Including even the dog eaters.
Vaikuntaha,
Vaikuntaha,
without anxiety.
without anxiety.
Saha,
Saha,
that person.
that person.
Aham,
Aham,
I am.
I am.
Bhavadbhyaha,
Good, something
from you.
from you.
Upalabdha,
Upalabdha,
attained. Sutirtha,
Sutirtha,
the best place of pilgrimage.
best place of pilgrimage.
Kirtihi,
Kirtihi,
fame. Chindayam,
Ulayam,
would cut off.
would cut off.
Sabahum,
Aham,
my own arm.
one arm.
Happy,
Happy,
even.
even.
Vaha,
More
towards you.
towards you.
Pratikula vritim, acting inimically.
Infinitely.
Translation and report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you. So, real purification can take place in human society if its members take to Krishna consciousness. This is clearly stated in all Vedic literatures. Anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness in all sincerity, even if he is not very advanced in good behavior, is purified. A devotee can be recruited from any section of society, although it is not expected that everyone in all segments of society is well behaved. As stated in this verse and in many places in Bhagavad Gita, even if one is born from Brahmana family, or even if one is born in a Chandala, is family of a Chandala, if he simply takes the Krishna consciousness, he is immediately purified. In Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter 30 to 32, it is clearly stated that even though a man is not well behaved, if he simply takes the Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be a saintly person. As long as a person in this material world, as long as a person is in this material world, he has two different relationships in dealing with others. One relationship pertaining to the body and the other pertaining to the spirit. As far as bodily affairs or social activities are concerned, although a person is purified on the spiritual platform, it is sometimes seen that he acts in terms of bodily relationships. If a devotee born in the family of a Chandala, the lowest caste, is sometimes found engaged in habitual activities, he is not to be considered a Chandala. In other words, a Vaishnava should not be evaluated in terms of his body. The Shastra states that no one should think the deity in the temple to be made of wood or stone, and no one should think that a person coming from a lower caste family who has taken to Krishna consciousness is still of the same low caste. These attitudes are forbidden because anyone who takes the Krishna consciousness is understood to be fully purified. He is at least engaged in the process of purification, and if he sticks to the principle of Krishna consciousness, he will very soon be fully purified. The conclusion is that if one takes the Krishna consciousness with all seriousness, he is to be understood as already purified, and Krishna is ready to give him protection by all means. The Lord assures herein that he is ready to give protection to his devotees, even if there is need to cut off part of his own body. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatakalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagra Chadam Sagana Ragnathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvatam Savitam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Rita Shri Vishakan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhina Bandha Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpadurvishya Kripasati Sindhiveva Japatitanam Pavani Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Tanave Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanave Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvise Shunyavadi Pachite Deshatari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kakriti Madharam Sarva Vidyanam Hai Guru Pasmahe Guru Vishnu Bhagavan Tinir Hai Vigna Vinashan Anayasha Hai Nija Vanchita Puram. Okay, so going on to discuss here this ecstatic pastimes in which now Vishnu has appeared and is taking charge of the situation, taking hold of the situation a little bit more here. And we see it's quite an intense interaction that is actually going on between the, between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his servants, and the four Kumaras. So it's interesting how Vishnu comes in here and immediately starts to discharge the situation. And we read in verses before, when they see the Lord, everybody immediately became pacified. That all the devotees, Jai Vijay, including also the four Kumaras, were pacified. They became, that they couldn't, just as when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, everybody naturally just becomes pacified. So, Krishna here, Vishnu here is speaking. He has mentioned a few things, and that are of very much significance. It's interesting that he immediately mentions these attendants of mine. So they're my attendants. He immediately identifies those to Jai and Vijay as his servants. Now that's pretty significant. When a master, he makes it known to his servant that yes, you're mine. It's actually very pleasurable for the servant because he's serving that master very diligently, with a lot of care and attention, and giving and wanting to, feel that the master knows that okay, I'm devoted to him, and then the master feels that they're mine and I am theirs. So we see that relationship between Jai Vijay and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he mentions that they're my attendants, that they haven't rejected them. Okay, seemingly looks like they've made a mistake. But I prove of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them. Okay, you're devoted to me, but these are my servants. So, who else is more dear, Krishna says, than his own devotees? He mentions that, because you're devoted to me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants, again, my attendants, has actually been displayed by me because the Dormans are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself, therefore I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen. Again, he's constantly saying that, my servants, and I have made the mistakes. It's kind of you could take it in another sense of also like pointing to the Kumaras saying, you think these personalities have made a mistake, but they're my servants. Technically you're saying I've also made a mistake here, because they're my servants. He said, no, it's my fault. I've made the mistake. There's a little bit, if we want to take a little poetic license here, saying Vishnu's kind of trying to tell him, you may want to reconsider here. These are my servants. They're as good as me. And it's actually been displayed by me. So you're saying that I'm making the mistake. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is making the mistake. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness. A wrong act committed by my servants leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy or any part of the body pollutes all of the skin. So here, up to now, Vishnu is kind of mentioning that point. Okay, they've made a mistake, but it's because of my fault. I haven't trained my servants properly. But you can see, but they're in Vaikuntha. They're in the spiritual world, the place of perfection, in which the servants know perfectly how to serve the master. That's why they're there. They know what the master wants and they know how to serve him. That's the qualification of a servant. Therefore, Vishnu is qualifying the Kumara, the Vijay Jai and Vijay saying, my servants. Why? They're perfect. They're my servants. They're perfect. That's why they're my servants. They're perfect. A master does not keep a bad servant. Why? Because it's not pleasurable. It's not pleasurable to keep a bad servant. He leaves things around. He throws things around. The place is a mess. The master is having to constantly clean up after him. So they're in the Ramayana, we see there are 3 levels of servant. One who the master has to constantly clean up after. One who just does enough. And one who knows the heart of the master and acts accordingly. We see that those who are serving Krishna in the spiritual world, they're not of the other two. They're of the highest quality. Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. They have fully realized the position and act completely properly in order of that position. So for Vishnu to mention this point, there's a slight contradiction, because it's the place of, Vaikuntha means place of perfection. Those servants are going on, but he's saying, well, they made a mistake, but it's actually my mistake. I didn't train them properly. So there's some indication that Kumaras, they've got, something, they're not exactly right here. That's just the fact that the Supreme Personality Godhead and his servants seemingly to have made the mistake when the Kumaras have just left the material world. There's some issues there. So it's interesting, now this verse is mentioned. Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of a dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ears of the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. And again, another kind of poetic license and kind of understanding this from churning it a little bit. You can understand, why is Krishna mentioning the Chandalas and hearing and all of this? Because, Kumars, they were Brahmavadis, and they were impersonalists, and then he's saying, well, you became purified. All of these Chandalas, they've become purified. They become purified by him hearing my name. And you've also become purified. But some indication is there that you've become purified, whereas Jai and Vijay, they're my servants. They're my servants. They're pure. They're on the platform of complete purity. There's no tinge of anything for them. So some mentioning here that of some indication here, okay, Kumaras, you've come up you just came out of the material world, you're dealing with my servants. I'm coming here and I'm also telling you this. And you've become purified. You just became purified. You just smelled the lotus, the tulasi, smell of the beautiful tulasi leaves that are coming from my feet. So you've just come here. And you've just become purified, and that purification is going on, and I'm mentioning these things because later down the line, Prabhupada writes like that they were still influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, the Kumaras. So the Kumaras were taking this position of cursing or pointing out faults in the servants of Vishnu when they were under the influence of the modes of passion. So there's some indication here also by Vishnu. He's making it a point. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you. My servants are very dear to me. I will take the reaction. You leave them alone. Don't hurt my servants. Don't try to curse my servants or such and such. So we can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead's, how close he is to his devotees, how much he takes those who have completely surrendered unto him and are serving him so perfectly, how much he is ready to stick out for them. Just like we see that name in so many names, a string of names comes in Vishnu Sahasranam, in which Vishnu is the protector of the devotee, one who comes immediately to the devotee's protection or is saving the devotee. We also have the verse in Bhagavad Gita that, what is it now? It's, how does it start? That the second reason of descent, that I come to save my devotees. So, Dharma Samstapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. So Krishna comes to protect his devotees. And he goes on doing that. He doesn't let his devotees just, doesn't put the blame on the devotees. Sometimes we see that in the material world. The servants mess up and the master immediately ditches the servant. Oh, no, it's all his fault. It's all his fault. And they'll ditch it, or they'll put the blame on the servant completely, and then they'll run away. The masters will run away, get away with it. We've seen that so many times. Some people, they do a bunch of nonsense, illegal stuff, and they'll have people under them, and what they'll do, they'll just put all the blame on that person. That person will go to jail for a lifetime, and he'll get away with it. He doesn't take any sort of thing. But you see the Supreme Personality of Godhead's heart. here, how even in a little offense, he's willing to take that reactions for his devotees. He's coming saying, I'll lop off my arm. You don't see that in the material world so much. You don't see that. What master? You mess up, they blame it on you and they'll fire you at your work. Just like Jai and Vijay are also working. They're working for the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the, they have their posts. And they, from this point of view, we're saying that, they messed up. They messed up by not letting, the, Kumars into the gates. They may have messed up. We could say from different angles, we're looking at this pastime from many different angles of vision, because the pastime, it has that many different angles of vision here. Even if they messed up, still the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes fault for it, like you see in a few verses ago. And that's the proper, actually, position of a master, that he takes. There is a loving relationship between the servant and the master. It's not a business relationship. Often we come from the material world like that. But the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and their servants, or within devotional service, is very different to that of the material world. Just because we mess up doesn't mean we become disowned, or we lose our salary, or we lose our position in devotional service and such, as Srila Prabhupada is quoting in this verse, that one, even though he may perform some abominable act, he's still considered a sadhu. He's still considered a sadhu. One should not consider him any less. Why? Because he's on the path of purification. That anybody on the path of devotional service, anybody on the path of Krishna consciousness, Krishna says that, what is that verse? Tesham satta yuktan, no. Is it? No.
Kirtayanto mam.
Yesham tvantagatam papam. Was it Janana?
Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam.
Bhajante mam. So they have become purified. If they've come to some level of devotional service, if they're chanting Hare Krishna, if they're cleaning the floors, if they're doing all this, although there may be many faults in their endeavor, just because they're endeavoring to at least keep that in their life, that is all glorious. It is actually all glorious. And it requires us to see like that of course there's discrimination still, because one requires that in order to keep society going, but still they're considered to be, as long as they're not obviously envious of the principles of pure devotional service, they're considered to be great sadhus, that they admit their position and they're trying to rectify it, but they're unable to do it due to bad habits from the past, but they're going on. So that is a person who is a great sadhu, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur also gives the understanding that one who considers them a sadhu in time will also become, he'll actually become, right, he's actually come to the platform of complete purity. He comes to the platform of perfection. One who doesn't just look at a Vaishnava who's trying his best, who is not envious, who is really giving it what he can, but he's held back by so many material desires that are there and so many past natures and things like that. But one still sees that person as a sadhu and doesn't treat them like a dirtbag, and doesn't treat them like some scumbag in this, on scumbag of the earth, but treats them nicely, tries to assist them in their Krishna consciousness. That person who does so, he comes to the platform of perfection very, very quickly, because he's taking upon the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's seeing with a proper vision in mind. So we see that that the Supreme Personality of Godhead's servants are very, very dear to him. Whether they're those servants, we see here the servants that are perfect, Jai and Vijay in this case, well, whether they're imperfect. The point is that their service, and we also have that Bhavagrehi Janardana, that he takes the mood of the devotees. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is looking for any drop of sincerity that is there in the living entity. Anything, he will take it. He will take it. It's almost like Krishna is coming and begging the living entity to please engage in this service. It's like that. Maharaj was mentioning in that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to invite him to clean our heart. We have to invite the master who lives in the heart to come and clean it. Who does that? But we have to do so in order to try to serve him better. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes and he cleans the heart. What master should clean? Like if Guru Maharaj came and he started cleaning the floors. It's like it's hurtful actually.
Yeah, you cleaned the toilets at one time.
Yeah, there's like where in the
temple.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was like, oh my Krishna.
So Mahotsa Prabhu might remember that, but that Guru Maharaj cleaned the apparently.
That's in. Am I allowed to say where, or like someplace? Or should I say someplace?
No, he's saying that it happened in Atlanta.
Or was he saying it happened where?
In Atlanta.
In Krishna life.
That was the sink.
Yeah.
That was the sink.
Yeah,
because the sink was not very clean.
Yeah, in some place, Guru Maharaj actually was in some farm in India, and Guru Maharaj was picking up the trash. And then some devotees saw that and they thought, oh, he's so humble, he's doing this. But then Guru Maharaj actually says that, no, it's not my humility. I'm trying to teach you fools that the spiritual master should not come and clean up, but you should take care of Krishna's property properly.
And so, when the master has to clean, for the servant, it's actually painful. But sometimes it's required for the master to do so to make it a point to the servant that he has to clean. So unless Krishna actually comes and gives us some level of intelligence by cleaning our heart, then it's very difficult for us to actually come to the platform of beginning that. And Krishna goes on also doing it. And the spiritual master helps clean our heart by his words, by his instructions, by his presence. So we see that that purification has to take place, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he is very dear to anybody that does even a little service. So we see that agyata sukriti. We see that if somebody just helps a devotee, if somebody is just pushing a cart, sometimes we have in schools. Sometimes one time I remember now this is a little funny story, but I was just pushing a cart up the hill this was in that Emory University. It's a real steep hill, and we had all these saptas, and I was like struggling. And then some Mataji came and started pushing it also. And I don't know what to do. I needed the help. I couldn't like just be like, get out of here. No, don't do it. But it was like heavy, bro. I was like, anyways, whatever. And she helped me push it up the hill. And I just said, thank you. I gave her a small book and she left. But I was just thinking that she had no intention of performing devotional service, but Krishna takes that, like somebody pushed up a Sankirtan cart full of books all the way up that hill, and now those books can be distributed, and Krishna will just like give that person so much mercy, whether with them being able to come to Krishna consciousness within this lifetime or next lifetime, that Krishna takes those little, so that sometimes we even try to people to get people to try to do something small, significant. Some give us some water or give us something, just so, not because we want, like we're like, no, I need to be served, and if they serve me, it's good for them. But from the point, if they give this because we're performing devotional service, Krishna will appreciate this. Not that I deserve it, not that they should serve me at all, but that they're serving Krishna like this, that this is their only opportunity. And Krishna takes that significantly. So anybody that does even a little bit of service, he is considered to be, a great sadhu, one who, especially those who are trying their best to take up Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada begins this whole purport by saying real purification can take place in human society if its members take to Krishna consciousness. This is clearly stated in all Vedic literatures. Anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness is in all sincerity, even if he is not very advanced in good behavior, is purified. A devotee can be recruited from any section of human society, although it is not expected that everyone in all segments of society is well behaved. As stated in the verse and many places in Bhagavad Gita, even if one is born in a Brahmana family, or even if he is born in a family of a Chandala, if he simply takes to Krishna consciousness, he is immediately purified. So purification, this Krishna consciousness, the process of Krishna, it's the process of purification. We're becoming purified. How we're doing so? Well, here Vishnu is directly mentioning, the Supreme Personality of God is directly saying that, how? By hearing my name. And we see that in so many parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have, so many verses that are mentioning this point. We have in 3:33:6, to say nothing of spiritual advancement of persons who see the supreme and face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog-eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Oh, how glorious are those who, this is again 3.7, oh, how glorious are those whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the family of dog-eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all good manners of the audience to be chanting the holy name of your Lordship. They must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. That's the mercy of the Supreme Personality Godhead. That if they even chant their names, they come to the platform of highest perfection. That they come to this position of being able to do Vedic sacrifices. And we see, obviously, the Nam Sankirtan is the sacrifice of this age. And we go on Harinam and we make people chant and dance. And although they're the lowest classes of beings, you could say, they're lowest, they're drinking, smoking, breaking all the four regular principles all at once. But they're chanting the holy name of the Lord, unknowingly. So, and it's without offense also, because it's, because they don't know anything, they're just chanting. It's okay, all right, this sounds good, let me just do it. Spontaneously chanting also. And then you'll see sometimes they start throwing their beer away, and they'll leave their girl behind and start following the Harinam. And, that effect, you can see that actually on Sankirtan. And so we see that that one becomes purified, and purification is the process which the Vedas offer, and that one is meant to go through that actually. That one is meant to understand that there's a higher status of life, which one must approach, and through the process that the Vedic literatures recommend, one should purify one's existence. Shuddha Sattvam, that one's purification should take place. That is the purpose of human form of life, is to become purified from these material desires. Now, the problem becomes that there is no actually even idea of purification in modern society. This is just the word purification, probably the only thing that applies to water. In modern society, the only thing you hear, purified water. What is purified consciousness? What is a purified person? What is all of these things? There's no conception of it. Actually, the closest thing the purification is, actually you can only identify it to water. I don't know what else, purified water. What else is there? Is there anything else that there's purification?
Sterilize, right? They sterilize some instrument that they use in an operation or something like that.
Yeah, they purify. Yeah. So, but sterilized is a little different to purify.
You purified gold.
Purified gold. Yes. This is generally, Pure alcohol. Yeah, that's another one. Pure alcohol. Pure alcohol. So, but it's so limited to just like material things. Okay, we have water, we have these different substances that can is purified. But when you say, okay, I'm becoming purified, they go, well, what are you becoming purified of? What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with the character that people have in this world, at least to them. It's just, that's how you are, and that's how I am, and that's just our natures. And we don't have to change. As long as you don't hurt anyone, and I don't hurt anyone, we're okay. But actually they don't understand the purification that is required, that is there. All of the dirt that is there in the heart, that is the mode of ignorance, is that one can't actually recognize the ignorance that is around them, as Maharaj often quotes. Ignorance is bliss. It's folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss is the full saying, but ignorance is bliss is often also quoted. And that they don't understand. They think, oh yeah, life's good. What's the problem? What is the need for purification? Well, there's no even conception of becoming purified. They have some idea that I'll advance and I'll become better at something, but there's no idea of actually purification of character, purification of heart, and purification of these material desires, of actually becoming more simpler, thinking more atato brahma jigyasa, inquiring about spiritual life. Something is there sometimes. But in mass society, that's not there. And their behavior is of the lowest classes. Their behavior just, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and then their character, all of these things are actually of not very high quality. But nonetheless, if they take up devotional service, even if they are not able to, as Prabhupada is writing here, completely change their behavior because of past thing, or they're not completely well behaved. Srila Prabhupada's disciples often were not well behaved. They would go to India and start fighting in the streets when they have saffron cloth on, and to do that in India, you're like, what is going on? This is completely unheard of, unseen. To see a sadhu fight, or to see somebody put on tilak with their spit. I can't imagine, it's like, oh yeah, they don't have water. Yep, all right. It's like, what's wrong with you? But nonetheless, because they were surrendered to Srila Prabhupada, and they were pushing on the Krishna consciousness movement, even the Brahmanas couldn't do that with all their rules and regulations and all of these things. They couldn't spread Krishna consciousness and make other chandalas into, give up the four regulative, take up the four regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna was not possible for those who had all of these. So even, not that we should not become purified and learn all the rules and regulations that we need to undergo, which is conducive for devotion service. But even if one is born in some place and he happens to come across Krishna consciousness and may not have all of the exact, know all of the rules and regulations and all the things, if he is engaged in chanting and he is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is all glorious. So it does not depend on one's position in terms of a material position, whether one is in a lower position or a higher position in terms of his material body. He understands that there may be lower, that it is lower, because Krishna makes the point, yes, it is lower. It is not that it's all equal, not just because we take up Krishna consciousness, it's all equal, but we become purified, or we come to the platform of perfection. And what type of perfection? Of identifying ourselves, of knowing, of servants of the Supreme Personality Godhead, not a perfection of becoming all equal and everybody gets the same thing and we're all equally important. We are in the eyes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we have our roles and positions that we must still understand, whether we're a Vaishya, in the platform of Vaishya, Shudra, all of these things in order to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead properly. Although we don't see Vaishnavas like that. We don't see Vaishnava as a Shudra. We see a Vaishnava as a Vaishnava, but he has the position in which he serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that way. So we see it like that, not that, okay, we identify one of the Vaishnavas as, oh, he's a Shudra, that's all he is. No, he's a Vaishnava, but he's doing that, he has acquired that nature with his body and karma and guna and karma in this life, and he's serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead like that, and it is not at all any less than a Brahminical devotee, or you could say a devotee with the qualities of a Brahmana, who is performing his service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're all perfect when one recognizes his nature and performs that service. So to identify a Vaishnava as a lower or a higher thing, a higher caste, lower caste or higher caste, and to designate some material designation upon a Vaishnava is not proper. Because ultimately he's a Vaishnava, and subservient to that principle of he's a Vaishnava is those natural principles, natural qualities that are there from, the guna and karma that we have acquired from this life. As Prabhupada says that, the Shastra states that no one should think the deity in the temple to be made of wood or stone, and no one should think that a person coming from a lower caste family who has taken up Krishna consciousness is still of the same low caste. These attitudes are forbidden because anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness is understood to be fully purified. They're Vaishnavas, they are perfect. And their service that they're doing is also perfect if they're fully surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not of a lower thing. This idea that it's a lower thing. Okay, Shudra means he's low. No. That Vaishnava, he's what? He's a sadhu. He's the topmost. He should be respected generally in the caste system. There's no respect for the Shudras. Not much respect for the Shudras. Low. He's low. Don't let him come in the house. Yeah, if you're a Shudra, you cannot come into the house of a Brahmana. You do that to a Vaishnava, that's an offense. That's what we're talking about. You treat a Vaishnava like what a Shudra would be treated like within the caste system. That is an offense, because the Vaishnava here is higher than a Brahmana actually. So one has to see through the proper eyes that yes, we may take upon the position, work of a Shudra, but we're not Shudras. A Vaishnava may take upon the work of a Brahmana, but is higher than a Brahmana. May take upon the work of a Vaishya and such, but he's higher than all of these things. He is a Vaishnava. So we should make sure, we should see through those eyes. And Prabhupada says here that he's at least engaged in the process of purification, and if he sticks to the principles of Krishna consciousness, he will very soon be fully purified. The conclusion is that if one takes the Krishna consciousness with all seriousness, he's to be understood as already purified, and Krishna is ready to give him protection by all means. And we see this again and again throughout all Bhagavatam actually. This is the point of these pastimes. To give us faith by which we can actually surrender to Krishna fully. That we can see that he's always looking out for us. He's actually always there. Sometimes we think we do certain things in our life and we don't know. It's like, we're trying to surrender to Krishna. And sometimes our faith may get shaken at times. It's like, man, I'm really pushing. It's like, what if something happens? For example, devotees take up on the position, take a renounced order of life, and then they may struggle with health, or they may struggle with this and that. And there may be some doubts. Okay, what if I hit old age and then there's nobody to look after me? That's often a common thing within the renounced order of life. What if okay, I'm a grihastha and I'm full-time devotee and I don't acquire any wealth in my life, and at the end, I get left with nothing, and I have no money and I have nowhere to go, what to do? So these doubts may come up. But if Prabhupada says, if one is taking it with all seriousness, if one is actually completely surrendered, if actually one is very much trying with all seriousness and with all sincerity, then he can expect that Krishna is ready. Krishna is ready to give him all protection by all means. So one has to have faith in that, and therefore Shastra is there to give us that faith, to give us these pastimes, in order to contemplate upon these pastimes, and to actually churn these pastimes and embed them into our minds, to be able to understand that we should also do the same, and Krishna will always protect us. And there's so many beautiful stories from so many devotees also. We hear the Bhagavatam where devotees are getting protected by the Supreme Personality Godhead, but then we also hear from Prabhupada's disciples, those who have performed Krishna consciousness for a very long time, or also from those who have been doing it for a short amount of time, and for those who do practice and do it with all seriousness. You also have experience in which how Krishna is protecting us in so many different ways when we're surrendering to Krishna. So it is by which we get deep faith in Krishna and the words of Krishna, how Krishna is promising that his devotees shall never promise. That Krishna is telling Arjuna that that my devotees will never perish. So this is there to give us deep faith, that the Lord assures herein that he is ready to give protection to his devotees, even if there is need to cut off part of his own body. Is making the emphasis that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he does not separate himself from the devotees, that he sees them as his own, that they're mine. I cannot neglect them, I'll do anything for them. That is love. That is love. It's not just one way that these devotees are just giving it all they can and they're surrendering, and if something happens, well, all right, too bad. No, Krishna protects his devotees. And that protection may happen in different ways. Whether it happens within this lifetime, sometimes if we don't have proper vision, that's why this word, all seriousness and all sincerity is very, very important. Because all seriousness means one has the ability to consider all of the different circumstances and try to see and actually be able to see how Krishna may protect him. Not that, we may do that, and then we may be left in a situation where nobody, we may not be cared for because and such, some weird circumstances happen in our life, but still this devotee sees how Krishna is protecting him in his life. Still the devotee sees, the help of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it will be there. It will be there when we're completely dependent on the mercy of Krishna. It is always there when we're taking with all seriousness. Now, if we cheated throughout our life, if we did this dodgy thing and that dodgy thing, and we offended Vaishnavas, but still we're in saffron cloth. You see this also within our movement. This all happens that they get the old age and they're neglected, and then they blame Krishna. Oh, I served my whole life. And yeah, but did you do it with all seriousness? Or did you just offend Vaishnavas? And did you just, casually take devotional service casually? You didn't read enough. You didn't hear it. You weren't chanting your rounds. You were eating karma grains, watching movies, all of these things. And then you get to old age, oh, Krishna didn't protect me. I served and Krishna didn't protect me. Whoa, where's your seriousness? Where is your seriousness in Krishna consciousness? It has to be there. There's no... Vaishnavas, if we were in proper Vaishnava society, there's no way a Vaishnava will neglect another Vaishnava. There's no way. Because they see, oh, Krishna will not neglect his own devotees. How can I neglect his devotees? How can I neglect his devotees? So if one is all serious, one is always has protection. If one is in all serious, means he reads, inquires, understands, applies in his life, sees proper association, has proper discrimination. All of these things are required. This is what all seriousness means. He is serious to make advancement in spiritual life. He's serious to seek out proper association of Vaishnavas. He's serious to seek out a proper spiritual master. He's serious to seek out the proper conception of what is pure devotional service. We see so many different conceptions. I was just hearing that with all this FTG thing going on, the party that supports the FTG says that the party that doesn't support this FTG are stabbing Srila Prabhupada in the body, stabbing Srila Prabhupada in his body. And then the party that doesn't support the FDG we're also saying this is Upper Sampradaya. And I was just hearing recently that they also say, oh, ISKCON is becoming Upper Sampradaya by not allowing women to become female Diksha Gurus. Which is, it's a really actually extreme thing that is going on. And anyways, if you see what they quote, if you see what is their justification of why female Diksha Gurus should exist, it's like the most manipulated thing ever. And these are persons, some of these are persons, they're, some of them are women, some women that are pushing forward, and they're saying that they haven't, those who are going against this haven't understood Srila Prabhupada's books, they haven't understood Srila Prabhupada's position, they haven't understood Srila Prabhupada's movement, while they play basketball with the younger generation of Krishna consciousness. They can go and that's their activities that they do. When there's a very clear thing Prabhupada says, do no frivolous sports.
Can they dunk though?
Yeah, they keep the basketball hoop is about that high, so it's not too bad. So then you criticize those who are seriously studying Shastra, who are pulling Shastric codes and really diving into the subject matter, but they neglect him. So who's serious? Do we, to seek out serious association, it's tough, it's hard, it has to be done with sincerity. You take a quote from Srila Prabhupada, from Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, where Srila Prabhupada says that the Chaita Guru in the heart is manifested as the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru, and there is no difference between the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru. Therefore, if woman can become a Shiksha Guru, why can't she become a Diksha Guru? This is the quote by one of the great scholars. But why don't you quote a place where Prabhupada specifically, same position, that a woman, because she was a woman, she could be a Shiksha Guru, but it could not be a Diksha Guru. So specific to the situation and specific to the pastime that's there in Srimad Bhagavatam, but then you quote some general, the most general tattva from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then another one of the powerful people were also saying the same thing. It's like, Yeah, I just read a post from a devotee. He said that if one considers the material body of a Vaishnava, and because of their material body, they cannot become a guru, then that is offensive.
Thank you.
It's like, there's so many qualifications within that one has to understand. That it's referring to Jat Gosai, is referring to, the caste system, but still, Shastra makes a point that women cannot become Diksha Gurus for so many reasons that are not just because some Sanskrit book says it, but also logical understanding that a woman cannot take that position. So one has to take it all with all seriousness. What does this mean? One has to actually approach this with one has to have proper guidance, and so one can't be envious of the principles of pure devotional service. So it requires, and it's tough, because you'll see that they're not taking it with all seriousness, they're taking it with they're just taking it as, these, especially the other side, that not coming up with the proper Shastric references and all of these things, and just taking, Srila Prabhupada as the scapegoat for everything that they want to do in life. And this just leads to degradation of the society, and then later they'll go, see, Krishna didn't protect us. See, we did all this and Krishna didn't. We put all this effort into women Diksha Gurus and getting women to become empowered and give Diksha, but nobody joined the Krishna consciousness movement. What happened? So Krishna consciousness doesn't work, right? So all of this nonsense is there. One has to take it with all sincerity. One has to consider all factors. It's actually very tough. Actually, the platform of perfection is not very cheap like the Sahajyas make it. That you can do anything, and as long as you play a little games and chant a little bit together, and no, that's all nonsense. We don't understand what this perfection is. That Krishna says, how does it start? That so many men endeavor for, how does it start?
Bahunam
Janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyante vasudevam sarvamiti samahatmanastu durlabha. That who is, even the great jnanis, after jnanis who are very in touch, after many, many lifetimes. So what to speak of us? We're dependent completely, we're just mercy cases. We have jnanis, what kind of jnanis? We ain't got all that, but we're completely dependent on following the instructions. As long as we follow those instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave, we can come to perfection. As soon as we neglect, immediately we could become, again, punar mushiko bhava, again become a mouse. And then and then so many weird positions in life, and then we lose faith in Krishna. We lose faith in the Vedic literature. We lose faith in Shastra because of our neglect of the instructions of the spiritual master, and we're seeing that in one specific personality. Because of a failure to follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, neglecting them, then they've lost faith in Shastra. They've lost faith in Shastra, they've lost faith in Aitiha, in tradition, and in the achar, and in the behavior, and the dress, and all of these things that our acharyas have taught us. They've lost faith in that. Why? Because neglecting. So they won't be protected. There will not be that protection. Where will be that protection? Where will be that? That will not come. Srila Prabhupada said that this movement can only be destroyed internally. But that just because Krishna consciousness movement is dead, doesn't mean it will go on unless we become serious, unless we take this seriously. Krishna will not, just let some half-assed thing just go, go on. You have to endeavor. We have to surrender. And when that surrender is there, we're seeing, we're having the experience, we're trying. We're not perfect. We're not perfect whatsoever. We know we have so many faults. But because we are trying to serve with the intention of purity, that, okay, let us serve our spiritual master, let us serve Srila Prabhupada in the way, we're seeing how Krishna is just giving whatever we require. Whatever we require, Krishna is giving it. It's insane. It's insane. Krishna himself is saying to the Kumars, I'll lop of my own arm. Whatever, what is that? That I'll give you the whole world in 18 days. Prabhupada said that Krishna can give you the whole world in 18 days. But can you actually handle it or something like that.
What will you do with it?
Yeah, but what will you do with it? Will you exploit it, or will you actually serve Krishna with it? So Krishna, look, he can just. We were searching, within one month he had us get this place, and it's ridiculous. You look at it, and everybody that comes, it's like it's a Yellowstone of this house, like a national park. Who could have conceived of such a thing? And even now, it's just like still like it's not real. So Krishna, if we're serious, he can give intelligence, he can give empowerment, he give a part of his own self. He'll give he owns it all. He doesn't. So seriousness, and then by dharma, adharma will be wiped out. So by establishing like this, by endeavoring to establish Krishna consciousness properly with all seriousness, we will also expose those who are, just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did by establishing vidya. Avidya was exposed. Right now, it's all mixed. Nobody can understand actually. Within our movement, it's very difficult for everyone to understand what is proper and what is improper. Who is proper? It is actually, because we're not studied in Prabhupada's books, the whole movement just does not understand actually Diksha, this problem that's coming about, women Diksha Guru and all this, they don't know. What do they take? They take the position of the vox populi. Oh yes, women should get, yes, okay. Then the acharyas must be wrong, because the vox populi is saying that it's okay to have women gurus. So, but when we establish Krishna consciousness seriously and something that's going, and people are seeing it, they go, oh, hang on a sec, this is not making devotees. This looks like this is just going down this, deviation, and it's not getting people giving that much. It's not giving people satisfaction. It's not actually advancing people in Krishna consciousness. But those people over there, it becomes a very clear line of what is proper and what is improper. So by serving Krishna seriously, we can guarantee that yes, we've taken up on this huge task of trying to establish some sort of farm project, bring some sanity within our devotional society. Krishna will protect us, and Krishna will give us intelligence, manpower, all of these things to go on, and we're seeing that constantly. It's nice. Mahotsa Prabhu was making the point that when you're pioneering and you're trying to do something, it's amazing what you can do, because you could have just never thought of even doing that, even a little bit of that before. So Krishna gives us protection, and when we mess up, and because of our, we're all young, or we don't have so much experience, Krishna still protects us in so many ways. So if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes, bro.
So I'm not haven't invested any time in looking into the whole FTG thing, because I've concluded that it's going to be give me some. So, but from what I've heard from Guru Maharaj's lectures, is that it's not that women at a certain they cannot initiate. It's not like that. But the problem is that we are putting the cart before the horse by instead of establishing Daiva Varnashram, we are trying to do all this other stuff which is influenced by liberalism, affected by the modern age, right? But in the future, if Daiva Varnashram is established properly, then this could be done, and it should not be done by women who have had like 7 divorces, and like they were trying to appoint one Mataji. She has 7 kids with 7 different men.
Wow.
And that was like, that was like the most amazing give me some of all times. But so not women like that, but it's done when how because what I'm talking about. Guru Maharaj has spoken about this, that there's a possibility of women initiating. It's not like women cannot initiate ever in the Krishna consciousness movement, but we are not doing what Prabhupada wants us to do, and because we're not doing what Prabhupada wants us to do, it's become a guru or avagya, right? So how do we understand that point, that women can initiate in, like, if the Daiva Varnashram thing is followed properly? Is it that they're doing it along with their husband, or like what exactly is it? Because I haven't researched into this yet.
it seems, from my understanding, from hearing that, it seems Maharaj is just trying to make the point that, okay, okay, we'll see that possibility when we first establish Varnashram. He's not making the, from what I understood, it was that we'll see if it's possible. We'll have to see if that is something that can be done. If something that can, that's a discussion that can be had when we establish this Varnashram. That's kind of what I understood from that little speech he gave, is that when we establish Varnashram, we have these things going, then we can come up with a consideration of whether this thing is helpful for the Krishna consciousness movement or not.
Because I've understood from that, what I'm remembering is that when such a personality comes, let's just say someone who's like that Acharya is self-effulgent. Like, if they're so qualified, they're self-effulgent. There's no need. For example, there is no need for us to go on a whole campaign saying, "Sure, Prabhupada is this is a great Acharya." It's self-effulgent. Nothing to do with that. Same thing with Ramanuja. Same thing with Janava Mata. Right? Same thing with Hemalata Thakurani or whoever the other devotee is, because those women were self-effulgent. Right? Janava Mata, she's the wife of Lord Nityananda. Hemalata Thakurani, then she was serving the devotees, and then her cloth was slipping. So then what she did was, instead of stopping to serve the devotee, she just manifested two more arms and, kept it. So like, that's someone who's like, whoa, okay, we got it. But, so it seems like there is a possibility of that happening. But what I don't understand is, how can a woman give diksha to someone? Right? Diksha literally, it literally, like, you have to give the Brahmin thread, right? You have to do like so many. Am I misunderstanding this? Like, I haven't researched so much into it. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how, because, yeah, I don't know how that would exactly work, and that's something to ask Maharaj perhaps, because he's mentioned that. But from my understanding is that, okay, I don't know if Janava Mata, she was initiating, how exactly she was doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the and also another point to note also is that this uh, second initiation is giving the Brahmin thread that was started by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to make a point, about the whole Brahma Gayatri thing. So I'm just really, trying to wrap my head around, some of this. I haven't looked into it, but you seem to have looked into it. So,
Do you know,
I just had a few points if you could clarify.
in Gaudiya tradition, is it when one receives diksha, is it standard for the Brahmin thread to come?
I mean, the Pancharatri ki Diksha doesn't necessarily involve the Brahma Gayatri. That, like we were discussing, right? Without the Brahma Gayatri, if you receive the other five mantras, you can still worship the deity. Right?
But you
Like
don't.
Guru Maharaj
Yeah,
speak.
that's
Anyway, so
it's just, what is it called? Pancharatrika.
Pancharatri ki Diksha, yeah. So I'm just trying to figure these things out. I haven't looked into it, but it seems like you have. So I was just asking.
It comes up, and I like to just kind of see what's going on, because because the
It's like a rabbit hole sometimes.
I'm like, we see we see Guru Maharaj and the scholars speaking, and it's so clear. They're so, like, everything is referenced, and I'm like, looking through it, and then you see some of these people speaking, and it's the most vague,
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh, I feel and I think, and maybe it might be, even someone from like, let's just say there was something which rhymed with like wisdom of the pages, okay, something which rhymed with the wisdom of the pages. And so let's just say there was a podcast called Wisdom of the Pages, and then like the guy like fully fired up. Now there's so much evidence that women can give initiation, and the whole bottom line understanding is, does bodily does bodily identification, the bodily designation, make a person eligible or ineligible to practice bhakti? But that's not the question. We're talking about initiation. That's the question, right? So yeah. Anyway, so I was just.
it's just interesting that, okay, Siksha and Diksha, the same. If Prabhupada says it, then just stay a Shiksha.
Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah.
Because there's so many other things. Shastra says where women should not become Diksha. In that scholars board, that one devotee, he's I don't know, he's written a few books on this.
Krishna Kirti Prabhu or Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu?
Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu.
The Indian body devotee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He was referencing so many different quotes from Shastra, specifically mentioning that women cannot take up on that position of giving Diksha, that Shastra specifically mentions like that. And so it's just, now there's a new video that just came out from the scholarly board saying that, do we, Srila Prabhupada and referencing Shastra, do we have to do that or not? Do we just take Prabhupada's statements without referencing Shastra, or do we just take just take Prabhupada's statements only? They come on, there's really nice, actually they seem to, at least some of those devotees, Srinivas Prabhu, some of those devotees, and he was the other devotee, Krishna
Krishna.
Kirtan. He was making a point about this personality that, I forget which video that was in, he said that this personality specifically told him in the past that if you can't defeat an argument, then you just create ruckus, then you just like start to create socially.
Like character assassination. Like if you can't defeat an argument, just start.
Yeah, then get emotional about it, something like that. And I was like, whoa. And then because I just saw this other video that came out recently, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what's going on here. Because he just say, oh yeah, he's like, okay, yeah, GBC made this decision to put it on hold for now. But, and I follow Prabhupada because Prabhupada said to follow the GBC. And I follow that, but I think the GBC are making a mistake. And this is, they should, it looks really bad on them. And, they need to just like understand Prabhupada's instructions and just let women become Diksha Gurus. That's basically what he's saying. And
so it's like word jugglery. What's going on?
Word jugglery, but also more playing into this emotion thing that those who don't agree with Prabhupada's statements and those who don't agree with the GBC, they're stabbing Srila Prabhupada with a knife. Srila Prabhupada's body with a knife, because it's gone in Srila Prabhupada's body, and they're stabbing Prabhupada's body with a knife. And it was just like, anyways, he's just talking with two women on a Zoom call about all of this. And they have no Shastric thing, they're not very well practiced. It's just any other Vaishnav group that would look at this, any other Sampradaya that would look at this, if the Gaudiya Mutt, the serious Gaudiya Mutts that are there in India, looked at this is what is going, this is so like...
I mean, it's just so stupid, like the whole idea is just like really dumb. And, I was considering this point also in regards to, we're fighting over such trivial matters, which are like so obvious. That and that's the whole point. The more these people speak, the more they prove their disqualification. It's like it's amazing actually. One Mataji who's like, there was an article on Dandavats about her that actually she wrote a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita apparently, and the thing is that this is actually the most unique contribution to the Sampradaya because she's the first woman in the entire history of the universe to write a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. So how much glorified is she? And then she is considered to be like some, great Acharya type of person. So, and what happened is they were married, they have two kids, and then they took Vanaprastha. So what happened is that the husband stayed with the kids and she became the Acharya. I mean, this is so crazy. What's going on? And she's like the GBC, EC, or whatever the heck that may be. It's just really stupid. It's really stupid.
It's a weird time, and it doesn't push forward the movement. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, what do they think is going to have? Do you think you're going to let the women become Diksha Gurus, and then all of a sudden...
like, everyone's like, finally, now I can join ISKCON. No one ever heard of you, man. Like, seriously. And, I want to ask you, look, here's another challenge, right? So if you really are so empowered, if you're such an empowered, great personality, why don't you go start your movement on your own? Do what Krishna Life did. Go acquire your property, raise your own money, distribute your Prabhupada's books, and, prove your point. Why do you have to come into a movement built by men, by the way? Why do you have to come into a movement built by men and then try to use the men to support you? If you're so strong and so empowered, why don't you start your own movement? That's what we're doing. We disagree with what's going on in ISKCON, North America. Therefore, we started Christian Life. And we're the most successful program in the whole of North America, the best book distribution team in the whole world. We cover our own backs. Why don't you do that? If you're so empowered and potent and you have the blessings of Prabhupada. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? All these people wouldn't be able to do jack if it wasn't for the hard work of the men. None of these people.
And we also see this, where then, or they're saying, oh, yeah, we're making devotees. Where are they? Where are the brahmacharis? Where are the grihasthas that are surrenders? Where is...
Some of the brahmacharis that they come there, at least a few from we've seen, they're gay. It's obvious. Some of them are gay. Right, Abhi? You have a good gaydar to see who's gay and who's not. And then no, seriously, man, like these guys are gay, and then like some of them are eunuchs, and then like a few guys that are there, they're like all like wishy-washy, like, I was scratching my head and I realized that, the universe is so beautiful, or something dumb like this, man, like what are you guys preaching,
Nobody wants to doing that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, who the hell, maybe some like Comic-Con Bhav, like, like LGBTQ queer who like, I don't know, someone like that maybe, like, the incarnational piercings or something like that, Who would want to join this? It's freaking ridiculous. It's like a joke, man.
Guru Maharaj said that because what's his Hridayananda Maharaj was saying that that they've made so much there's actually so much progress in Krishna consciousness with the Krishna West, and it's like, where is it?
Yeah,
Bro,
that's
we
what I'm
travel everywhere. We've gone everywhere. We go.
Yeah,
everywhere.
literally, Prabhu, I've literally gone everywhere. Where are these
Not
people?
a place we see them. Like, one reason is because they're in pants and shirt and no tilak.
Yeah, like, oh wait, I thought you were a karmi, bro. I'm so sorry.
And they're eating. You see them on the shelf just eating all the karmi grains and
drinking coffee, eating garlic.
and watching at the movies.
Most of them have already been in the movement for like decades already. They're all like,
like what's going on?
And there's devotees. So yeah, we just don't advertise it. It's like, all right, but where are they?
They're unmanifest to our contaminated vision, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just completely crazy. And anyway, one last point, since we're on it, is that the so-called preaching success that they prove in America, it looks, even if you go to that place, even if it looks like there's new people who are joining, it's just kids of devotees who are so washed out that they look like karmis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen them. I'm like thinking, wait, like, bro, like, what's your name? Really? Krishna Das. Parents are, oh, I see. I mean, I'm sorry, but you look like a full-on karmi, full-blown karmi,
Yeah.
That's who they're bringing in. And they're doing such a horrible job at it. It's just phenomenally amazing, actually. It's like phenomenally surprising how stupid people can be.
Yeah. And then, it's like, what do they consider devotees? Well, some of them just chant 3 rounds and 4 rounds, and yeah, they've been around for like 4 or 5 months, and it's,
they have the mercy mangal at 7 a.m. That's really merciful.
That's what they call it, mercy mangal.
Mercy mangal. And then the rule is, if you can't wake up without an alarm, that means you should not wake up. I mean, you can have sex with your wife as much as you want, and you can use contraception with her. I'm not lying. Ask Kalki. He told me this. So I'm just kidding. I'm like, guys, are you kidding me? Like, it is so ridiculous, man. Like, So anyways, all these things that makes me lose faith.
Yeah, if I join, I would not join. I'll tell you something, man. Especially if I saw a bunch of just like liberal, like people just kind of like...
Yeah, I'd much rather join like the Mormons or something. Join the Mormons, like join the Muslims, like join the Amish, do something. I mean, like they do something practical, you know what I mean? Like, this is so ridiculous. It's crazy. And Guru Maharaj was saying, don't preach strongly. Then you will like, then like, people will like, what do you say? You'll become a compromiser or they leave or something like this, But in the name of like, not pushing people away, then you yourself become the compromise. You just keep compromising, and you become the compromise yourself. Because anyway, it's just ridiculous overall.
Is there anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Prabhu, I just want to make one point, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vamshi Krishna Prabhu from Bhimavaram, he was explaining this female Liksha Guru. So he was comparing with the Shastras. For example, when there is no a qualified Kshatriya to rule the country, the Brahmanas take the position, right? So when there is no qualified man who gives the initiation, then a qualified woman will come. That's how the Sri Sampradaya came. Like Lakshmi Devi, she is the from her
Andal,
the
Andal.
initiation. Yeah. So that's how he is referring that female Diksha Guru. It's not like completely denied, but there are qualified men who are qualified to give the initiation. So first go with them. If there is no any other chance, then come with this female Diksha Guru. Like he was giving the explanation. So yeah, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, the women need to be qualified too. God, you can't have 4 divorces.
7.
7, sorry, 7.
7. Get the numbers.
Cat has how many lives?
Yeah, 7 lives. So
9 lives, 9 lives. She had 2 more
oh,
divorces.
9.
Yeah,
Oh,
2 more
so 2
divorces,
more.
then you're disqualified.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else? No.
Saptarishi set.
Up to where? All right.
Jai Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.